Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much. Thank you, Destiny. Thank you, Stevie. Destiny, you're killing it. This is awesome. I'm so glad that you're all here. Thank you so much. My name is Kristen Laird. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a board member and a volunteer with We Are Her. I joined Stevie in her mission after we met. We had both been speakers for End the Silence with Haven here. And I think both, her mission really spoke to me because I had experienced that same thing of sharing my story and realizing what it can do for me, my family, my community. And so this is my story. I am definitely not an off-the-cuff speaker with this topic, so I've written it out for you all. I'll do my best to make some eye contact. The cold, hard floor against my cheek, elbows, knees, and hip bones is indelible in my memory from that night. I don't remember the outburst that led to me laying there. Suddenly, I was knocked flat on my stomach. I tried to escape, but he was lying across my body, pinning me, my face beneath his palm, grinding it into the hardwood floor. I still feel the weight, the feeling of being pressed into the floor, trapped and wishing I could disappear into it. His roommate stepped over my legs on the way upstairs. This happened in my freshman year of college, in the second abusive and controlling relationship I would experience before I turned 19. At 14, my father started getting sick with a plethora of illness, starting with cancer, that would take over our family's lives for another 13 years. I was seeking love outside of that chaos, someone who would be there to distract me from what was going on at home. Peter offered all of this to me and then used it to maintain control. He manipulated and pressured and forced sex far before I was ready. Once I gave in, he owned me. He would fly into rages, screaming at me inches from my face that I was a slut and a whore while pinning me against a wall. He told me lies and cheated and gaslit me into believing it was all my fault. If I could just be what he wanted, if I could just make him happy, the goalpost always moved though. And I shrank and shrank to fit his ideal that was never satisfied. After it finally ended, I felt emptier than ever. My dad continued to get sicker, and stability at home depended on whether there would be an emergency life flight or another bout of secondary illnesses that would land us in the hospital. I met my second boyfriend, Chris, the summer before my sophomore year. He made me feel loved, and a year later, I trucked back onto the roadway with no taillights as Chris rode his motorcycle home from a friend's. Evidence showed he tried to stop, but it was too late. He was killed instantly. The loss I felt is indescribable. It knocked the breath from my chest. I felt untethered, adrift. Not only was my dad still sick and getting worse, but now I was an abuse survivor, a sexual assault survivor, and the girl whose boyfriend died. I was 16. I turned 17 the following winter and met Corey. We were together 8 months before he headed to Missoula for college and I into my senior year at Whitefish High School. This separation intensified his jealousy, infidelity, and lies that were already beginning to show before he left. He ran cold, then hot when we would talk on the phone, flipping from obsessed and jealous to love bombing and back in the blink of an eye. 1 minute freezing me out and refusing to answer the phone, the next begging me to visit him, which of course I did as much as I possibly could. My grades suffered, I lost weight, and I stayed home, constantly vigilant by the phone in case he called. By the time I moved into my dorm room in Missoula in late August '97, he had trained me to anticipate his varied moods and volatile emotions. The first time he hit me was 2 months later, on Halloween. We were at a party, he was jealous, and he punched me, closed fist, in the middle of my forehead. The cycle of abuse only escalated from there. Pinned down, trapped, strangled, slapped, degraded, gaslit, demeaned, sexually assaulted, and violated. He threatened suicide and then would tell me I had just killed another one. My stomach twists thinking of 18-year-old me screaming and begging him to stop as he jumped the guardrail to the interstate, getting ready to lay down in traffic. It wasn't real though. It was just another tactic to tighten his control, reeling me in with fear, manipulation, and cruelty. He broke me down bit by bit until my sense of self was obliterated. My confidence was non-existent, and my hypervigilance wouldn't allow my nervous system to rest for the next 25 years. Survivors have been through hell and stepped into more of it by leaving. We've had our tires slashed and our cars keyed, our reputations ruined, our dates interrupted with smears and insults, our personal lives splayed open in a courtroom, our lives threatened, our locations traced, our phones tapped, our sanity questioned, our friends alienated, our friends terrified, our families terrified, our jobs threatened or lost, our support systems obliterated, and our experiences unbelieved. It is ugly. But when survivors are supported, encouraged, connected, and allowed to heal, it is a work of art. The survivor community is a vibrant and unique tapestry. We exist across race, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, age, ability, religious affiliation, geographic location, education, introverts, extroverts, and so much more. There is no corner of the world where society is untouched by this intimate and profoundly traumatic violence. Unfortunately, shame often prevents us from healing. We have been conditioned to believe that it was our fault, that we deserved it for saying the wrong thing, speaking the wrong tone, wearing the wrong things, looking a certain way, being friends with certain people. We question our own memories. We are all here today because one survivor recognized what sharing her story, connecting with other survivors, and understanding what happened to her did for her healing journey, and she didn't want to keep that to herself. The impact this all-volunteer organization has had on our communities, our lives, our families, and our self-worth is monumental. The Institute for Women's Policy Research published an in-depth study several years ago titled Dreams Deferred, a survey on the impact of intimate partner violence on survivors' education, careers, and economic security. The survey reveals how the economic dimensions of abuse permeate survivors' lives, creating a complex set of needs that make it difficult to exit abusive relationships and move forward in recovery. 66% said an abusive partner had disrupted their ability to complete education or training. I left college after my freshman year because of this. 83% reported that their abusive partners disrupted their ability to work. 82% of respondents said that their abuser damaged, destroyed, or took their personal property. 4 in 10 survivors said they had a partner who tried to get them pregnant against their will or stop them from using birth control. The obstacles to leaving, let alone healing, can feel insurmountable. But we are here. We are healing in beautiful, unique, creative ways. We Are Her is an incredible resource locally, and our programs are deeply touching the lives of participants and volunteers alike. But it is also a network connecting survivors anywhere Wi-Fi is available. Across our social networks and email alone, we continually are connected to 24,000 people. I didn't fact check that, but that's what I looked up. And we are going to continue to grow until we are undeniable. No one needs to go through this alone. So, Stevie, Thank you for your vision 9 years ago and for calling others in to be part of a true work of